Hello, and welcome to the Ended Up in Vegas podcast. I'm Nikki.
I'm Megan.
Today's guest loves food. He also loves to write. He happens to write about food and a lot of things Las Vegas. Rob Kachelriess, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I think I'm going to have you write my bio for me.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, this is what happens when you know a person very closely, like I've known you. Tell us how you ended up in Vegas.
Well, I was working with you at Fox 5. We were both news producers, and I came out here. I was working as a producer in Savannah, Georgia, and actually remote producing a show that we kind of started from scratch in Augusta, Georgia. And so it was almost like doing two different markets in one place. Mm-hmm. And they were a great station, WTOC in Savannah. They were really like a news leader in their market. Like they really lived that moniker. And I had been out to Vegas briefly before and knew I wanted to come back, knew I wanted to go out west. So I applied for the job. Actually, I took a trip out west, did a bunch of, actually, I think I interviewed at every station except Fox 5. Our old friend Adam, who's the news director at the time, we couldn't arrange it somehow, couldn't make it happen. I just reached out to different stations, and then I did a return trip. And my return trip was, I got off work at my job in Savannah on a Friday afternoon, got in my car and drove to the West Coast over the weekend, arrived in Vegas on Monday morning. So this was a lot of just like pulling over, napping at rest stops kind of thing. Nothing that I would recommend anybody do when they're looking for a job. But basically drove across the whole country in 2 days or 3 days and woke up bright and early. And Adam was the only person I talked to as far as the follow-up trip, Fox 5. And then we had a really good chat. We hit it off. He offered me the job. I had to wait a few weeks, but he offered me the job the same day my news director in Savannah wanted me to come in and sign the contract there because my contract was up. Mm-hmm. And that's what's crazy about all these news jobs is these contracts that kind of decide where you're coming and going, and who you can work for afterwards. It's a crazy business, as you know. Yeah,
for sure. And I didn't plan on doing this, but since you've mentioned Adam, Adam recently passed, and so we should make a tribute. This is in honor of Adam. I remember the day that you were in his glass office to the newsroom, and I remember him hiring you. We sat back to back for many years producing the news together, and you have been like my work husband / brother since then, really.
Aww.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah, no, we sat next to each other, and you say back to back. You always had my back at Fox 5, and I like to think I had yours as well. But no, yes, you are seriously one of the most responsible, kind people that I've ever met, not just in Vegas or anywhere else. And I'm glad that we still can be friends today and do fun stuff like this and move on and still run into each other at events and things like that.
Yeah, and I love, so when Megan met you, I was telling her the story of how you met your wife and how I sent you to the right place to get her engagement ring, and I was the first to see it. So that's the kind of relationship that Rob and I have had over the years. So you write for Thrillist. You have a number of bylines in publications around town. Tell us what you mainly write about.
Well, I'm sort of known for the, as you mentioned, food, but I kind of describe it, that's part of it, and that's a big part of it, but it's also just, I often describe it as anything that's interesting or fun in Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I go out of town too. I've done a lot of stories in the Southwest, like Grand Canyon, parts of Arizona that people don't always go to, Utah.
Okay.
I might drop it there and do a profile on like St. George, for example, which is a fast-growing city right now in its own right.
Yeah.
But, Vegas is always changing. And what's good about Thrillist is that it's not just food. It's, like I just did a story on date ideas, which seems kind of simple, but sometimes you have to dig and find some stuff that not everybody else is saying. You just talk about a lot about casinos, resorts, what's new, what's coming up. There's so much happening this year alone. I thought last year was busy, but you got the MSG Sphere coming up. You've got F1 coming to town. And that's in addition to all the stuff like EDC and all the other big events that we always have. And then Southwest Vegas is booming. You got Durango, the new casino, which is being built in our backyard, almost literally.
Yeah.
And
going up at like a lightning speed.
Yeah.
I live right by there, and it's like I'm like, how did they get this going so fast?
Yeah. And it's funny because we bought that house and we had this big empty lot of land behind us. You could see the strip from our kitchen. We didn't even have to go outside. You could see the strip from our kitchen. And we're like, yeah, we know Station Casinos owns this land, but, they've had it for like 20 years. Whenever they get around to it, they'll get around to it. And then we were in the house for about a year, and we got the news. Oh, but we're going to build a casino here.
Yeah.
Right in front of your house. So...
Yeah, besides being the authority for all good places to visit in Vegas, you found a sense of community here. You married here. So tell us all the things that keep you here that make you love Las Vegas.
I mean, I've always thought it's a cool town. And I know locals kind of complain about the Strip. They're like, oh, we don't want to go down there. It's expensive. It's crowded. Parking's horrible. And those things are all true. But it's sort of like... when you're going down there for work or for a specific purpose or to go interview a chef or go see a new attraction. Last night I was at Resorts World and they're debuting Transfix, which is their new kind of outdoor series of art installations.
Okay.
It's almost like EDC meets Burning Man on a small scale, but it's family friendly kind of.
So you can take your kids, I could take mine.
Actually, they would probably love it. It's a cool, and of course it's like photo spots and everything. But going to check that out is fun too, and being able to write about it and interview the people behind it, and cover that kind of stuff. It's just like I said, there's so much going on constantly in Vegas. It never gets boring.
We get really spoiled here, I think. And yeah, we do complain about the Strip, but it's also like, it's such a luxury to have so many things right in your backyard that you have the option to use or go to. Most people don't have that, I think, unless you live in a very touristy place, but still Vegas is in its own.
Yeah, I mean, things evolve, I think, in different towns and they come and go. And, some towns may have a little more history that's tied into their attractions than Vegas does sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes. But yeah, I mean, just by the nature of this town, things are they just come and go so quickly.
So when you moved here, did you think you would be here for a long time, or did you have a plan of how long you thought you would be in Vegas?
It's funny. I think I've told Nikki this story where I was on I think it was a United flight, and whatever their in-house magazine was doing sort of like a special, like little section on Vegas, like talking about, and this was like at least maybe 15 years ago. And I remember just seeing like an ad for like a Blue Heron home, and they were new at the time. And I'm like, I want a house like that.
Yeah.
Not that I ended up with a house like that, but I ended up with a house I like. And, and just kind of seeing some things. And it was almost that visual thing, just kind of like, I kind of want to, see it all play out. The home, the house. I didn't necessarily come here looking for a wife, but it's the best thing that happened to me here in Vegas. So, I found work. I found a wife. We got a house. We have little doggies. That's our family. Those are our children. And we're not going anywhere. We're going to stick around Vegas. It'd have to be something really specific and unusual for us to, I think, leave Vegas. I think it's our home.
Wasn't the choice between having kids and buying a house? Wasn't that a choice at one point?
Actually, the choice is getting married or buying a house.
Oh, getting married or buying a house.
The kids were never in the picture. It was kind of one of those things where, we were looking for a home at the same time we're planning a wedding. And, it's kind of like, and the costs were going up for the wedding. And it's like, and it's all fine. But it's like, not just the financial aspect, but just having like, the time, to plan, because where we ended up getting married is one of those places where it's not all inclusive by any means. You were picking out the DJ, you basically rented the venue, which was a great venue.
Which was Legends Ranch.
Legends Ranch. I'm not sure what they're doing these days, but it's a very cool place outdoors with grass and the barn and the courtyard and the whole deal, and we loved it. But, we had to get the catering, we had to get the DJ, we had to buy our own insurance. Like that's how... a la carte it was.
It was a very beautiful wedding. I was privileged to be there.
Yes.
All your money.
Yeah. But aren't you glad you bought a house and got married?
I am. And I'm actually really glad we bought the house when we did. I think it was 4 years ago now. And we refinanced twice. You know, it was kind of one of those no-brainer things where, and I know this is your territory here, but, you know, people talk about, you know, the rates going up and stuff, and they're holding off on buying houses. And I've talked to some friends. I'm like, well, if you find a good deal, get it now.
Yeah, for sure.
And you can always refinance later.
Yeah. And you've done a bit of coverage on luxury real estate. So tell us like some of the, you know, favorite places that you have in town as far as living goes.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, you know, there's all these great properties. I mean, you can't go wrong with the Ridges, obviously. You've got Ascaya and McDonald Highlands over here. And actually what I kind of love about these Henderson properties, you know, that have the view and everything, is if you look at this, the view of the strip, it's almost angled, like when it kind of faces Henderson.
Right.
So even if you have a great view from Summerlin, it's almost over a horizon in a way. And then if you're looking at it from Henderson, it's kind of facing you, and you kind of see more of it, and you have the airport and planes flying next to you, depending on how high in on the mountainside your home is. But I think a lot of people come to town and they gravitate towards Summerlin, but and I know Henderson's doing just fine, but I think some people overlook it when they shouldn't.
Yeah, I always say if you want to start a fight, ask people in Summerlin and Henderson what side the stratosphere should be on in the view, because my view is from Henderson, so the stratosphere is always on the right side. And to Summerlin people, it should be visually on the left.
I know, and then the Strat's kind of the one constant, the one reference point. Because sometimes you look at the strip from different angles and it gets jumbled, and you're like, how did Trump Tower end up in front of the Rio?
Yeah.
You know, and,
So you live in the Southwest. Tell us some of your favorite places to go, and probably for you, it's not geographically limited, but tell us some of your favorite spots in Vegas.
Well, actually, there's one in the Southwest that I absolutely love. It's called Anima by EDO. And it's sort of an offshoot of the original EDO, which is just on the edge of Chinatown. And it's not Asian. The original EDO's like a Spanish tapas place.
Okay.
And plus, this kind of different kinds of European influence in it. But the chef, Oscar Amador, just one of the best chefs in town. And I've long said, just kind of pound for pound, EDO is just like the best dining experience in Vegas. I mean, the food's great. The ingredients are great. Exquisite presentations.
Yeah.
You've been.
Fair prices. And they'll do anything for you. If you have if you're vegan or if you have other allergies, they'll do a whole multi-course dinner for you with that in mind, and happy to do so. And I think their multi-course menu last I checked was like $80 per person, which isn't bad for what they're giving you. And also, I think it used to be a little bit less than that. So the second restaurant, Anima, which is at the Gramercy in the ground floor there. So it's kind of near Summerlin, but I don't think it's quite in it. Similar menu. I think there's a little bit more of an Italian influence in there too. You'll see a little bit of crossover between the dishes, but everything you get is just so good. The presentation, the quality of the ingredients, the wine that they serve with it. They're big on gin and tonics there, and those are always good. And they were just nominated for a James Beard Award, and for, I believe, Best Restaurant in the Southwest or something. And sometimes I think people who nominate those kind of awards don't always understand Vegas, but that nomination is spot on. That's one of the best places in town, and it's probably like 5 minutes from our house. So I should probably go there more often. Yeah. But it is definitely a go-to. Otherwise, in the Southwest, we do a lot of just kind of ordering to go, to pick up and take home. We're big fans of Stefano's, which is, or Stefano's, which is like a Greek place. My wife loves Brooklyn's Best Pizza. That's like her number one pizza. So we kind of do that a lot. Also in the Southwest, actually a chef who helped open Anima is now doing his own thing it's called Basilico. And it's in this new development that's still under construction. It's called Avora. Is that right? Yeah. And it's this kind of luxury apartment property, and none of the apartments are built yet, but they've built sort of their retail commercial building so far. And this guy is doing really interesting stuff. I mean, it almost reminds me of Anima a little bit, but it's more full Italian, and the chef Francisco, he's Sicilian, so he does this great Sicilian style, like eggplant parmesan, not fried like us Americans always want it. It's like really good, layered eggplant, tomatoes, good ingredients, and then just doing kind of weird stuff like braising, prosciutto for hours just so we can take the broth and use it in a tortellini. Just stuff you would never know just by reading the menu, but these guys are the best chefs in town. They're making art, and the stuff they do just to get this food to your table is really impressive. And that's what's fun for me is I get to interview them and find out all these little nuggets of info.
Yeah, and then following you, I get to learn them. So what were you going to say?
I can't remember where I was going to go. I had a question that popped in my mind. Where is Basilico? I've seen that one come up I'm on a Facebook group for Las Vegas, the Las Vegas food scene, and that one came up as a suggestion.
I want to say Buffalo and Patrick.
Yep, okay.
So, we're talking about the Southwest. Southwest is booming. It's got... Durango that we mentioned, Uncommons is across the street from that, which is this mixed-use residential dining space, which is really nice and which is really developing nicely right now. And then, the Bend, I guess they're working on it.
Is that ever going to...
Well, I've seen some things pop up recently, so, you never really know. But I think whatever ends up there is going to do well. It's a no-brainer. And that's one of the reasons we bought a house there. You can't go wrong in this part of town. And on top of that, we got a house we liked and in a neighborhood we liked. But Avora, I think I'm remembering the name, is a little south of there. So that's where Basilico is. And you can just kind of see this whole Southwest is spreading. It's a booming neighborhood right now.
Yeah, that's actually really close to where I live. So I could almost throw a rock and hit the Gramercy. I'm just on the other side of Fort Apache. And so it's been fun. There's so many different places in there. There's just so much different food. And I love, I've seen a progression. I've been here 23 years. And so just the different types of fusion. I've been to Ito. I haven't been to Anima, but I have been to Ito. And it was just like, that's an experience. It's almost art as much as it is food. And so it's fun to see these different places come up and the way this food scene has evolved from just, steakhouses and some of the stuff that we had earlier on.
Yeah, sometimes I have a hard time going, is Anima better than EDO? The same, just as good?
Different?
It almost doesn't matter. It's just you're getting good food. That's a good question to have because, if it's not obvious one way or another, someone's doing something right.
Right.
The dining room's a little bigger. It's a little more comfortable. So if you like the EDO, you'll love Anima just as much.
It was always fun having lunch next to Rob. So one of my favorite stories, we have to talk about this because this is just like, this is you to me every time I go to this place. So Rob is also very health conscious. Like, I think you were eating halves of an avocado before I ever got into it myself. Like, now I'll have a meal that's like a half of an avocado, just literally from the shell. But that's sometimes when you're working in news and you have no time is what you would eat. And I'd be like, how can he just eat like a half of an avocado? Like, does that even do anything for you? Or butter. Like, that's another memory. You were very particular about.
Well, I was doing the bulletproof coffee for a while.
Oh, yeah.
With the butter in the coffee. I kind of gave that up. I'm like, I don't know about this. I felt like I was just like injecting calories all day long drinking this butter coffee. Maybe I'd go back and visit it again, but Mary's kind of into that, though. She likes the MCT oil in her coffee and stuff, which is kind of the same idea.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably a better option than just the butter by itself.
She also likes the organic wine that she introduced me to at your party. Okay, my question, though, is...
I know we're going all over the place.
I know. It's okay. Are we still a fan of Chipotle? Because Rob would bring back the biggest stack of Chipotle napkins. Like, I'm pretty sure if you ever needed a napkin, you were just like, go to Rob's desk. He's got a stack of Chipotle napkins, but you always love Chipotle.
I know. It's like in our family genes. We just always grab a stack of napkins on the way out. I don't know.
Just like a napkin insecurity or something.
I thought you were going to bring up like what I used to eat, which was just... the steak by itself.
Yeah. But that's what you've always been very attentive to, like where the quality food is too. Even in fast food.
And also, so we haven't gone to Chipotle that much lately because Mary doesn't do well with spicy foods. Like she has a little bit of an allergy to it, and it's like everything there has some kind of spice in it. But as far as like fast casual or fast food, if you want to call it that, they had the best quality meat by far.
Yeah.
And I would just get that because you could just order. I think it would be like 2 sides of beef, I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
And they would just give you in the little container just beef, and I would just sit and eat that.
Yeah. So my question now is, where are you going for fast casual meals? Like, we couldn't even find a place midday. We got out of a convention a couple months ago. We literally went downtown. It was like this weird time, 2:00 or something, where everything was closed or not yet open. So like, where are some of the good fast casual places in Vegas?
You know what's really good, and it's growing too. And I'm gonna probably say the name wrong because I always say it wrong, but it's Meraki or Meraki. I don't know.
Okay. The Greek place.
Okay.
Which is
Love
a
that.
Greek place. They're fantastic. The people behind it have been involved with other restaurants and really know this town. So they're over kind of where we are. So that's sort of our first choice. Stefano's is like our second choice, but they're both good. But Meraki is really special. It's on Rainbow and Tropicana. And then there's a newer one over here in the Henderson area on Stephanie. So, and they're just excellent. Everything they do, all your Greek favorites, you can't go wrong with that. And they have another one in the works, I believe also in Henderson on St. Rose Parkway, which is going to be, I think, opening up later this year.
Cool.
They also have one on Blue Diamond, and I think there's one on Charleston and Rampart. It's probably like, that's one of our go-tos. If we're gonna eat dinner. We don't feel like cooking. Their food is it's like the quality is outstanding, and they give you a lot of food for what you pay for. I can usually get 2 meals out of their like steak calamacchia. So they do these skewers, and it's like filet.
Yeah, that's what I need.
I was just gonna mention another one, but I spaced out.
Okay, do you want to play another a little game with us?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's play Kiss, Marry, Kill. Fuck, Marry, Kill. Well, we
All
can
right.
say it. We can make it an explicit podcast. This one's good.
YouTube overlords are going to come for you.
Yes, that's okay. We check that little box explicit. Okay. I don't know if I'm giving you too much pressure if I name restaurants. Is that putting you in a conflict of interest spot?
No.
Because I know that one of your favorite spots for a long time, I think, has been Herbs and Rye.
Love Herbs and Rye.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go Herbs and Rye, Echo and Rig, Berries. It's a...
Ooh.
Okay.
You mean at Circa?
Yeah.
Okay.
Steakhouse is here.
Interesting. I was just at Echo and Rig the other night.
Yeah.
Yeah, the new one in Henderson.
Oh, was it good?
It's great.
I've been wanting to go.
What I really love about it is that they didn't just copy the exact same menu and do, Echo and Rig East.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's the same name, it's similar, and then you'll see a lot of the same dishes. But I mean, there's like different cuts, there's different cocktails. I mean, it's like almost 2 different restaurants in a way. But,
That's cool.
But let's see. I think
Suspense.
I think F would be Herbs and Rye.
Oh, okay.
Because that's really about the cocktails.
Okay.
And that's kind of like a one night stand kind of situation.
Yeah.
Go in, get your cocktail and get out. Kind of thing.
I made that one obvious for you, didn't I?
And maybe I do Mary for Echo and Rig because I think you can kind of come back there night after night.
Yeah, it's
like
consistent.
you'd want to go back home to your family night after night. and I love Berries, but maybe just because of the high prices, I just might have to kill that one. I hate saying that though. They're great though. I think it's worth the price there. I think they do a great job.
Yeah. Okay.
Interesting.
All right, let's go to the Strip. Excalibur,
Oh my God.
Circus. Should I throw in a different one than Tropicana?
Sure.
Let's go Excalibur, Circus. What's another?
You want to go with an oldie or a more recent one?
Luxor. How about Luxor?
I can't just kill them all, right?
Nope, that's the point. So you want to, but you can't.
You know what? I'll say this. Every new building, that shows up in Vegas kind of looks like city center now. Like we're kind of becoming like an average city, but sort of this generic city with these flashy, futuristic looking, arias and vidaras and stuff. And I sort of miss the idea of let's have the themed Vegas hotel. So I don't know. Luxor, Excalibur. What was the other one?
And Circus.
You know what? I'm going to marry Circus.
Ooh, this is the third. You're the third person who has married Circus.
And they probably give you the same reason, right?
No, they're always a good story. Go ahead.
Steakhouse.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
There you go.
And so if I'm married to Circus, I can have the steakhouse every night. And the steakhouse is great. It's, it's one of those things where I could see somebody going in and being like, what's the big deal? But they really do a good job there. And it's really good food. And I kind of like that it hasn't changed too much over the years. You know, it's that kind of familiarity kind of thing. And maybe Kiss or F. I'll go with Luxor.
Okay.
Because they have a couple cool things in there. They got the King Tut exhibit. I like the Titanic exhibit in there.
Yeah, for sure.
They do a good job with that. And you can tell those people really care about what they have on display in there when you talk to them. So that's good. Excalibur, no, you can kill that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that I want to take my son to the Titanic exhibit.
It's very cool.
Yeah, and I think that there's just such a uniqueness to the Luxor. I hope that that's a casino that's there, or a building that's there for a long time. It's just so Vegas.
And it's very different too, just kind of the way you wander around inside. It's not quite, it's a different kind of sprawl than you get at some other places. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all have to admit that the Strip wouldn't be the Strip without those 3 places at least.
And if one of them actually did go away, you'd kind of be sad about it.
Yeah.
It wouldn't look the same.
For sure.
Can you imagine the skyline without the Luxor?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. We have got to go to the steakhouse at Circus because I have heard for years that it's fantastic. And I don't know why, like, whenever I'm making a decision on where to go, it doesn't really pop up into my mind. But I think we need to go there. Like, we need to just make plans when we finish here.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll join you guys.
Okay.
Right.
We would love that. Okay, one more. Kiss, Marry, Kill, Lake Las Vegas, The Ridges, Ascaya.
Ooh. I'd marry Ascaya.
Yeah, you love Ascaya.
I get Gene Simmons' old house. Or something.
Yeah.
I think I would F Lake Las Vegas.
Okay.
Because I think that's kind of, it's a good place to go in for a day.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know if I want to kill the Ridges, but I don't know. Later, Ridges.
Just float away. That's so funny. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on our podcast. This was so fun. Yeah. Do you want to keep talking? What did we miss?
Yeah. I was thinking of what I spaced out on when you're talking about fast casual places. It's a chain.
Okay.
But we love California Fish Grill.
I have not been there.
It's so good.
It's good?
I mean, sometimes it's a little better than others, but it's like quality fish for that type of place.
Okay.
Good sides and stuff. It's like, it's a good go-to if you don't want to cook at home.
Okay.
We're always happy at that one. That's probably my favorite, like, chain.
Is that what you're doing on a Sunday? What are you guys doing on a Sunday when the weather's perfect?
Sunday is like our day that we do nothing because Mary sort of has a deal with me that if I take her out to certain things during the week or on a Friday or Saturday, she gets Sunday just to stay at home with the doggies and decompress and not have to, like, she doesn't even like to do brunch on Sunday. She just wants to stay home.
Yeah.
So, we'll just end up, sitting at home watching reality TV, like Below Deck or something.
Okay.
Drinking low intervention wine and eating California Fish Grill.
Yeah, they're very health conscious.
So food is probably my first love. And so I just, like, everything you're talking about is just, like, speaking to my soul. And one of the things that I've said quite a few times is the one thing about Vegas is, like, I think you could go to a new restaurant every day here and never hit every single one. And last night I was like, I think I should try. I said, why don't you ask Rob if he'll take us around? She goes, can we go to every single one? I was like, Megan, I'm having bridesmaids reflexes of, like, it's coming out like lava. I don't know if I want to go to every single one.
Well, it's like, what's stopping you? What I actually find to be almost harder than trying, like, a new place is just reminding myself to go back and try places again that maybe I haven't been. Like, in the back of your head, you're like, oh, I was there a year ago. And then you stop and you think about it and you're like, oh, it's probably been 2 or 3 years and I'm still writing about it. I got to get re-familiar with this again. And that's almost more the discipline. It's kind of easy to go see the hot new thing everybody's talking about. But, sometimes you have to get familiar with places that you have a certain image of in your head. Because, chefs come and go, menu items come and go, things change. And the one thing I will leave you guys with this, I know everybody hates high prices. And it's the easiest thing to complain about when going to a restaurant, especially if you see an old favorite raised up. Restaurants are getting hosed on ingredient prices right now, like the price of eggs, the price of chicken. And, we've had this, post-pandemic thing where inflation has led to all these increases. Those prices aren't coming down. Have you ever seen anybody raise a price on anything and then bring it down when inflation went down?
Right.
So this is what these restaurants are dealing with. And I know a lot of them are, while their ingredients are going up a lot, their prices are going up a little bit. And they're eating that. So just my general word of advice just to people in general is just keep that in mind sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
Not that there aren't strip restaurants that don't want to hose you and charge like $25 for a cocktail. I think that's a little insane. But there's a reason some of these food prices are going up. And for some of these restaurants and chefs, it's out of their control.
Yeah, I always think that though about like Mona Miga B. Like I think that the prices on their menu are so reflective of like a place you'd find in a neighborhood spot, but yet you get the Bellagio fountains right across the street.
Yeah.
So like I'm sure that you can think of other places where there is, just value that's connected to the price that's on, the menu anyway. And you're really getting more for your money just by going there and enjoying the ambiance of the place.
Yeah, sometimes it's like a dinner and a show when you get a great view. And it's a place like that. Even like some of these supper clubs now, like
Yes.
Mayfair at the Bellagio. I mean, their prices are high, but you're getting live entertainment and performers that are walking between your tables and that kind of stuff. And maybe you do a long dinner there instead of going to see a Cirque show afterwards or something.
Oh yeah, I love that.
There's also like really exciting things coming, right? And that's the fun thing is like when something closes, usually something new is coming.
Yeah.
And I think that things are changing. Like you mentioned, the Sphere is coming, and we've got F1 coming. Is there anything that's coming in the restaurant scene that you're excited about?
I mean, it's just, I'm just interested to see how things develop in some of these downtown neighborhoods, because you can just kind of see things expanding, like the Huntridge area. They're revived the theater there, and they've got some new restaurants that are going in there that are doing really good stuff. James Trees, who does Esther's Kitchen, he's expanding that, and that's a guy who's really helped put this foodie scene, if you want to call it that, in Vegas on the map. He's behind Esther's Kitchen. He's behind Al Solito Posto in Tivoli Village. Tivoli Village also has Ada's, which is kind of like a wine and tapas place. And all three of those places are fantastic. So now Esther's is growing. They're moving next door to, I think it used to be the Retro Vegas kind of antique sprawling pink building.
Yeah.
And so he's taken over that, and it's going to be bigger. He's going to be able to do more. He's going to have different kinds of ovens and stuff like that. And then the original Esther's is kind of going to be reimagined as something else. And he's opened up something else further down the street, too. So I think that area, there's so much going on there. I'm really excited to see the Arts District continue to develop, and the Southwest, too.
Yeah.
We keep waiting to see what they're going to put in Durango. So that's
I
what I'm really
know.
looking forward to as far as restaurants. So they announced a food hall already. So
Did they? Okay. I'm excited. I heard somebody was just asking me, is that going to be open by the summer? And it looks like October, hopefully.
I'm thinking fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that one.
What's interesting about stuff on the Strip is you can hear people talking about this, how almost anything new on the Strip, they want open by F1. So things are moving along even farther with a lot of stuff that's developing there.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that because when they had the last race, the Grand Prix, I was working downtown. I worked on a high rise project that's now the Ogden. And so we were a sponsor, and it was really fun, all of that brought to the town. So I'm really excited about F1. I think it's going to be really cool.
Yeah. Well, like I was doing, I went to an event for Ole Red, which is the new multi-story country music thing in front of, I want to call it Bally's, but it's now the Horseshoe. And they're like, oh yeah, we're going to be done by F1. And it's like, they're barely digging shovels into the ground now. So I'm like, all right, well, good luck. But I have a feeling there'll at least be like an exterior shell of something there by the time F1 rolls around. Because, when those cars are zipping around Las Vegas, you want your brand in the background.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, thank
cool.
you so much. How do people, where are you most active on social? Where should people follow you? The Twitters?
I guess Twitter. If you search my name, I'll come up. I think it's R. Kachelriess, which nobody can spell anyway. But most of the work I do is in Thrillist.
Yep.
So if you just go to Thrillist.com and click on Las Vegas. Also, I do regular stuff for Zip Code magazines, which is, the magazine that gets mailed out throughout different neighborhoods, and the zip code is the title of the magazine on top. And they get a lot of good response. They get, I'll put a restaurant in there, and I'll hear really good feedback about how people read about it. and come in and check it out because of those specific articles. So I do, they call it Hotspot, Haute, which is usually kind of like a restaurant review type of thing. We do In the Kitchen, which is like kind of like a profile of a chef, which is a little bit more of the story. And then sometimes I'll do their Live in Local features, which are just kind of about, just different things that are going on that might appeal to locals. And it's a good variety of things to include in. So if you're at the dentist office like I am and I see the magazine there, pick it up. I'm probably going to have a couple stories in there.
Very good.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hopefully we can hop on a Nikki, Megan, and Rob blog where we just get in a little car and go around to different neighborhood spots. And
There you go.
we can actually just take your cues on what we need to look
Well,
for.
the thing is, it's like sometimes you just have to discover stuff. And
Yeah.
it's like, good food is good food. I mean, sometimes people really get snobby and people like to debate stuff. But you know what? If you're out there discovering stuff and you like it, then it works for you. And especially in a place like Chinatown, there's a million restaurants. I mean, how can you go to them all?
Yeah.
So if you find something that's cool that nobody else is talking about, or maybe somebody's talking about something you don't like it. I mean, just that's the fun thing about food is you get just to go out, explore, and find things that work for you.
Yeah. Well, when anyone asks me where they should go while they're in town, I ask Rob and then I tell them what you say and they're always satisfied by it. So
Good.
thank you.
That's what I like to hear.
Yes. Thank you so much. Well, thank you for being on the podcast. We appreciate you listening and watching wherever you did so. We hope that you subscribe, rate, and review our podcast. Thank you for watching the Ended Up in Vegas podcast. We'll see you next time.